Watch Who?
Hello, and welcome to the To Watch Who podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to Who.
Yes, and we are watching from the very beginning all of Doctor Who, basically.
Yeah.
So if you have been listening, welcome back. And I've got a bit of an update, really, because we so far have been recording quite far in advance. And then the coronavirus thing happened.
Yeah.
So, when you're listening to this now, it would have happened for quite a long time. So it all sort of happened last time when we were doing the censor rights, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where we had to actually go out in the middle of the censor rights to get food.
It literally, we had the speech. They were like, everything's closed. And we were like, gotta go and get the pizza now.
We had to get pizza halfway through the censor rights in case everything shut down. So we are recording over the internet for the very first time. So bear with us. It's new technology.
It's new to us as well.
Oh yeah, it's new to us. That's what I mean. So hopefully we sound as we usually do, but there might be a few glitches here and there while we get used to the technology. But actually, being in isolation, it's quite a good time to catch up on Doctor Who. And I've seen a lot of people starting their sort of marathons. A lot of fans are watching from the beginning, we are.
You've been on a lot of Twitter, like
there's lots of tweet-alongs. It seems like the Doctor Who fans are united
now's
in getting
time.
through. It's a really nice thing. It's really nice.
Yeah.
And I think watching 60s Doctor Who as well, I find it quite relaxing. I don't know about you. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, we'll talk about it.
So we'll get there. Well, we are at the very end of the first series.
Yeah. Well, it's worth saying actually, because obviously when this happened, and we did talk about it, like it is going to happen. There will be a shutdown. How are we going to do this? So I watched this on DVD. You sent it to me. So,
well, I was going to say, congratulations, you own your very first Doctor Who DVD.
I do.
You own The Reign of Terror on DVD.
Woo.
That is yours to keep.
I know you said that, which has animated episodes on as well.
Yeah.
Woo. So go me. So yeah, we got that. But after that, we did talk about it, like, so how we're going to do this, because like we can't just keep posting DVDs to each other.
No.
So, or I just constantly ordered, like, buy DVDs. That's mental. I'm not you. So, but they're all on BritBox.
Well, yeah, pretty much all of them. There's the odd one. Well, this one isn't on BritBox. That's why you've got the DVD.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the perfect way if you are new to Who, maybe, and you don't want to buy all the DVDs. Like Mark. Then they're all on BritBox to watch.
Yeah.
So perfect way to watch along if there's any that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Maybe. So hopefully people are doing that.
So I will be signing up for my 30-day free trial after this.
Yeah, to get through the rest of them.
To start season 2.
Let's go into today's episode then, which we've just freshly watched.
Yeah, we've literally just watched it.
So last time...
and normally when we watch together, but obviously we were doing it separate.
Yeah, so this is the first time we watched separately.
But I was texting you my thoughts. So normally where I'll like say something, I was like texting you, like you've put notes, whereas I was texting you my like sarky thoughts. But with no context either. You just had to presume this is where this is happening. It'd just be like, Susan.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if we've picked up on the same things this time, because usually when we're watching together, we both sort of talk as we go along.
Yeah.
So let's see. There are definitely some moments where I thought I know exactly what you're thinking. We did the censor rights last time, which probably isn't one of our favourites.
No.
And we left. Well, the Doctor was going to throw Ian and Barbara off the ship. That was our cliffhanger.
I know. Yeah, out of nowhere, he sort of like snaps like a little straw.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And then we go into, Reign of Terror is another historical.
The doctors put us down right in the middle of the French Revolution.
Yes. The Reign of Terror.
Just general thoughts then.
I don't really like the historical ones.
What about this setting compared to the Aztecs?
So actually, I have to say, and it must just be because it's the last one, the production values in this are amazing. Like they have so many sets, and it seems like the whole thing of that. I was like, oh, fair play. It looks a lot better than the Aztecs. The Aztecs was like obviously just had like a few, like maybe 3 sets. This felt like it had lots of different places.
Well, yeah, and I mean they had a horse in the studio, they had a horse in cart.
But it had the house at the beginning, and then it had the prison, which obviously did keep coming up, but it had the prison. It had another house. It had lots of different things it had outside. There was all the like when he's going through the fields, and he was like, there was that scene, wasn't he, where he's digging out.
We've got our very first ever location.
And there was a child. I think that's the first that I can think of. Is that the first time there's been a child?
Maybe there was some child cavemen.
No,
maybe.
I don't think there was. I think they were all adults.
Oh, maybe it is the first child. I didn't pick up on that.
I think it was. Or if there was any child cavemen, they didn't speak.
No, yeah, it's the first child actor then.
Yeah.
Where is he now? Is he doing signing? I enjoyed this, I think, more than the Aztecs. French Revolution, again, is a very 1960s school subject, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's one of those with a lot of these historical, they must have done it in school, or you must have more of a knowledge of the general. I choose a lot of my lame is knowledge, put it that way.
I didn't really know that much about, that was the only thing that I was trying to keep up with.
Yeah.
About who was who. I mean, because I was thinking, how do kids in school, how are they following this?
Yeah.
Who's who? Because it doesn't have that sort of history lesson very, like at the beginning of the Aztecs, where they were like, oh, the Aztecs did this and they did this. This very much assumes that you know everything about the French Revolution. I'd never heard of Robespierre, to be honest.
No, there was a lot of stuff like that I didn't know.
But I do think in the 60s, kids would probably have been taught about Robespierre, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know Napoleon. Yeah. And I know the basics. But
yeah, I think a lot of the politics of it, I didn't. I just think it was taken for granted that you'd understand.
Yes. Yeah, more so than the Aztecs, I thought.
Yeah.
But you know what? I did enjoy this one. And it's not one that I... actually, it's the very, very last video that was released.
Was it? Well, I guess
in 2003.
I guess because...
I've got the box set here. I'm going to show you over the... I'll put a picture of it. So it came in this box set.
Oh, look how massive it is.
It was the Reign of Terror plus a video of some other missing episodes, The Web of Fear, which isn't missing anymore. It was missing at the time. Mm-hmm. And The Faceless Ones. So I got this for Christmas. Must have been Christmas 2003. I was like,
is that the video?
Probably 18 or something. So it's my last video box set. Instead of the animation, it was Carol Ann Ford saying what happened in episodes 4 and 5. So halfway through, she's like, she's just sitting there, like glamorous, saying, in this episode, this is what happened. Just she fills in the story for you.
In episodes 4 and 5, still masquerading as a regional deputy, the Doctor visits Robespierre and is something of a success.
That's what they used to do on the videos. So I wasn't, it's not one that I followed. I mean, today when I've watched it, it's the first time that I followed it all the way through, and I can tell I do know what's happening in it.
Yeah, yeah.
The only other memory I have of this is when I first watched it, it reminds me of pizza, because I remember having a Goodfellas pepperoni pizza when I sat down and watched it. So until today, it has reminded me of pizza, and I think because the cover is sort of
Orange.
orange and yellow like pizza, it always Reign of Terror in my head is Goodfellas pizza.
That's so funny.
And then it came out on DVD. It was animated in 2012, and again, it was very exciting. It was only the second one that was ever animated. It hasn't got a great reputation because the animation isn't as amazing as it could be, because there's been releases since that are much better, but they didn't have the budget. You liked it?
I didn't.
Well, the criticism that it got, which hasn't happened since, is there were those very sort of fast sort of cutaways. You've got the slow pace of the sort of 60s episodes and the soundtrack of the 60s episodes, and then they're trying to fill in with the action where they can't really. I mean, they've done such a good job with the script and the soundtrack working out what is actually going on.
Yeah. And
then you get, I don't know if you notice those sort of sudden sort of someone's eye and then it cuts to someone's hand and then it goes full screen really close up.
Yeah.
That's what it got. And they haven't really done that since. I think they've learned from that. And I'd rather watch that than the telesnaps.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, no more telesnaps. Are there more telesnaps to come?
There will be, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I say that sarcastically. No, I definitely prefer it to telesnaps. Are they always in that style? Because the style... Have you ever watched Archer?
No.
TV series. So it reminded me of Archer, which is... look up Archer. It's on Netflix. But if you watch, if you look at an episode of Archer, you'll see what I mean. They could not be two more different things. Archer's like a grown-up cartoon thing. But the style reminded me of that. So I kind of had Archer in my head, but it's Doctor Who.
Well, yeah, so they do, there's different companies that have done the different animations. They haven't used always the same one.
Right.
So the first one they did, which was years and years before, was completely different. And then there was this, I think that's why this one was a little bit of a disappointment at the time. And then, I mean, we've had ones really recently that are completely different. And I mean, you're going back, 2012, it's quite a long time.
Yeah.
Technology has even got better and budgets have probably got better since then as well. So you can't blame them. It was done, I think it was done very quickly. And it's, as I say, it is such a niche thing to have.
Yeah.
I just think we're very lucky to have something like that, because they could have just put the telesnaps. They could have just shoved Carol Ann Ford on, presenting 2 episodes, which I thought was on the DVD. It's not on the DVD extras. I'll have to put the video in and show you that one day. She's just sitting there and that was recorded in the 90s when they were going to originally release it. So it's not like it's even 2003 footage. It's like 1994 Carol Ann Ford. It's not a fan favourite, I would say.
I prefer it in terms of the budgets and the whole, I think they go to town on it, because it's a BBC and they have they have the department for it. They've got all that. But
yeah, I've probably got it all in stock.
But I find it a lot harder to
was it just 6 episodes is quite... Did you not get into the sort of intrigue of it? I started to get into, these side characters, who is the traitor and who is... Did you not get into that and try and work out who's who? Because
I'll tell you who I felt sorry for. The prison guard.
Oh, yes.
He was having a rough time. I felt really sorry for him. He was just... And then when you find out that the one guy that he trusts is actually the traitor, I was like, oh, God, poor sod.
No, I thought he was great. It's those things I picked up on.
Constantly just done upon. He has no moral background. He's just, bless him, he has nothing.
He's hit on the head twice.
He's just constantly done in. He's just, it's not his day. It's not his episode. It's not his show. He's got a good heart. He just constantly trusts in people and just gets done in. So yeah, I felt for him, and yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't take to it.
Okay.
But
should we? Do you want to go through our characters like we usually do, and then we'll pick up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with the Doctor.
Okay. So my notes are the Doctor trying to throw Ian and Barbara off is dick move number 4 this series.
Dick move.
Although he's not as bad. He's not as bad as he has been.
No.
Like, they're still a good team, aren't they? He's still likable in this.
Not to
He
begin
hasn't
with.
he hasn't regressed back to earlier on.
But he has like the first like 5 minutes, like you're hating on him.
Because he was all right in the censor rights as well. He just flipped, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's it. It's just out of no. I think if it had been right, you want to get back to your time. Let's try. Or do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the story had been more. Let's go back to your time so you can visit it or something like. I don't know if it had been more that. It just made no sense. Out of we've had all this build up to them building up this relationship. And then suddenly out of nowhere, and it literally was nowhere, he made some joke. He makes these jokes all the time, Ian. And out of nowhere, he just flips and goes, right, we're sending you back. On his broken ship that he can't even navigate. Doesn't even make sense.
There we are, home.
Doctor,
It's all right. Chesterton made the position quite clear. Now, I have some work to do.
Grandfather, please.
Hush, child, say your goodbyes, and remember, we shall be leaving almost immediately.
Yeah,
It's just that first 5 minutes where he's like, of course I'm right, of course I'm here. Blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and then actually when they're in the house, he's like, oh, look, Ian, he's absolutely fine. It's like, oh, look, we're investigating all together again. Like, it makes no sense. So no, like, it's dickhead move number 4, like you say, but it just makes no sense. Yeah.
I also put that he is unconscious again for a little while.
Classic Doctor.
He hasn't done that for a while though. It was due to happen.
Yeah.
Well, someone was going to get knocked out.
Yeah.
But then later on, I've also put that this is really the first time when he is travelling to Paris, he's out on his own and he's doing a lot of the act. Because did you notice William Russell had 2 weeks off?
He did. Yeah.
In his prison cell.
In his pre-recorded prison cell.
Yeah. So you see the Doctor travelling and the bit on the road, and he gets to do all of that in the clothes shop and everything. That's the first time really he's had his own bit to do.
Yeah.
Because you know it's either he's been unconscious or on holiday, and it's been up to Ian and Barbara.
he had the whole stuff in the Aztecs.
Oh, I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose
where he,
so.
Got nearly married and stuff.
Oh yeah, I just felt like he did a lot more than he has done for a while in some of these.
Yeah, I think you saw it more in the Aztecs. It sort of he sort of was thinking about it, and I think that's it with the Doctor up until this episode. So he thinks about these things. He has all these things in his head, but he never reveals it. So he's like, yep, 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 and he's got it all going on. You're like, he's got a plan. Like the Doctor's, he knows what's going on. But that's it. You never really, he's just always putting the pieces together, and that's it. This was the first time, I think, like you say, it probably felt more like that because you're actually seeing him going through the motions to get there. Yeah. So maybe that's why. Even in the Aztecs, he was by himself in that garden, but we didn't see, we're seeing everything, but we're not seeing him putting the pieces of the puzzle together in the same way.
Yeah. It was enjoyable though, and he whacks that guy over the head.
I so laughed at that because when it happened, and because obviously it just zooms in on that other guy, so you don't see it. And I remember thinking, God, the kids aren't going to like that about the Doctor. And then the guy's just asleep. That's the conclusion of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you see, I was like, is that a pickaxe? Is that
like that sort of whack? That guy should be dead.
And it reminds me, those guys that get shot in episode 1, that was quite violent, wasn't it? Just straight.
Yeah, it did make me laugh. I was like, the hero of this whole series, basically violently hits a guy. And I remember I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like, and you don't see it, but he did it. Like, there's no doubt. I was thinking, God, how are they getting away with that? And he's just and it is so obvious to see people like
Yeah, I know. That's probably why they were allowed to do that if they're following up with that. And he puts the coin on his eye.
That would never happen either. Like, don't worry, kids, you could just whack a guy around the head. He'll just sleep it off.
There was also nice moments with Barbara.
Oh, God.
Like you said about the beginning.
Oh, God, yeah, it made me laugh. I texted you that right at the beginning. So, what was it? When they're trying to persuade the doctor to come off the ship with them. And she's literally stood there fluttering her eyes. She doesn't even really say anything. She's just fluttering her eyes. Like, yes, doctor. And it that made me laugh. Like Barbara flirting.
But there's a nice scene at the end as well where they're saying about they can't change history, and Barbara's like, from the Aztecs I learned that, and they're sort of on the same level this time compared to the Aztecs, and he's not really that bothered about the history part of it. He didn't really seem to.
Should we talk about Barbara?
Okay, let's go on to Barbara then. Yeah, so Barbara.
Yeah.
Well, again, history, it's her thing, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's going to be.
So actually, that is one thing between them. Just one final link. What I found interesting was Susan said something about how the doctor's not going to want to leave because the French Revolution is his favourite time in history.
Yes.
And so this is obviously something that he's very into.
Yeah, but
you don't really see that.
Though,
he never even gets excited about it or that bothered. And Barbara, considering she is a history teacher, compared to the Aztecs that she was very knowledgeable about, she's not that.
I just don't think she gets the opportunity to. I think she does know her stuff, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but in Unearthly Child, in the first episode, Barbara lends Susan a book on the French Revolution.
Is she?
And that's and Susan looks and goes, "Oh, that's not right," and that's the first hint that she's unearthly. I don't know if they thought of that by that. I don't think they had.
No.
But it's a nice little link back to the first episode. I was waiting for her basically to explain to me what was happening in the French Revolution and what was going on, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because she gets thrown in prison, doesn't she? And she's got to look after Susan most of the time. She's Susan's childminder again, isn't she? But at least Barbara is, again, stepping up. She's not being Barbara of old, is she?
No, Barbara has stepped up. Barbara's not the Barbara of old, as you've just said.
But especially as Ian's not in the picture to help out with Susan, she's got to be.
Barbara has stepped up. She's not the Barbara of old. She's this new Barbara. She has learnt her lesson from the Aztecs.
Do you think? See, Barbara in Aztecs and this, she's strong. She does better in history than she does in the future. Maybe that's what it is.
She's more comfortable. It's her time. It's her knowledge. Maybe that's it. You're right. It's times she understands and knows.
Can we talk about Barbara and Leon?
Oh, yeah. That was so.
When Leon turned up, I was like, oh no, here we go.
It was so. It was it came out of nowhere. It lasted for about 5 seconds to the point that even Susan was like, "You really like him." It was so. Literally, he walks in. He's like, "Hello," and he's really close to her, and she's like, "Hi," and then that was it. Apparently they're in love.
Oh, Barbara, this is a good friend of mine, Leon. Barbara, she's here with a young friend. They're staying with us for a few days.
I'm pleased to meet you.
It was just, cringe.
So I couldn't remember what happened, and I didn't remember the character of Leon. I thought he was going to be a bit of a creep, and because he was sitting there with her, and they were left alone very suddenly.
Yeah.
And I didn't pick up really that she liked him. I thought he liked her, and he was going to attack her or do something. And when he got shot, and she was really upset, I was like, "Oh, really?" They had that one scene together. They had a glass of wine.
8 Mark. That's all it takes sometimes. Just one glass of wine. No, I think that sums up Barbara though. She's one for the men.
I did maybe it was there because she did have that bit of that history. She was upset that he was dead because of the sort of historical that.
Yeah, but kind of what you just said before. I was waiting for the music. So that's one thing with Doctor Who. If you're not sure of what a character is, just wait for the music to tell you. If you're not sure of a character's intentions, wait for the da-da. They're probably bad.
I had my suspicions of Leon, but I was enjoying working out who was going to be James Sterling. I had no idea about that. And then you had James Sterling, didn't you? You had Jan and Jules, who were the friends.
Oh yeah.
And then you had Leon. Obviously Leon turned out to be. I suppose I did have my suspicions on Leon. I suppose, but I wasn't sure about James Sterling.
I wasn't sure about James Sterling. I did not think it was that guy at the end.
No,
I really didn't think it was him. That did surprise me. That was like a moment. The
other thing I've got for Barbara is she's the barmaid at the end.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That was funny.
And Ian and Barbara's bar would be amazing to go to.
So did you notice though, like there was some, so I work in a bar, there were some glasses on the end of the bar and I was thinking, Barbara, you should be cleaning those up. Like
she did her her accent when she was the bar. Did you notice she did that sort of like Cornish?
Can I get you anything, citizen?
Yes, some wine.
How many guests are you expecting?
Can we talk about accents a minute? The lack of French accent. Not only that, just the northern accents as well. If they're poor, they're apparently really like northern. That made me laugh a lot. Just like stereotype everything. They're not French in any way. Like not even.
Well, no, I think that is the BBC in the 60s. I think all plays and all television, like it was just how it was done, wasn't it? Imagine though if they all did these French accents, it would just be. It
just made me laugh. I think the little kid at the start makes a slight accent to sort of indicate that they're in France. And then after that, it's all gone out the window. No one even bothers to try. It just makes it even funnier. There's a comedy show. I can't remember what it's called. You might know. And they have the Germans. I only know it because it's only in my head because I saw like a meme about it with the whole coronavirus thing at the minute. And the French all have like, I think it's set in France. Oh gosh, it's really going to bug me what it's called. And
hello.
Yes,
no.
Yes, and now which way around is it? I don't know it that well, but I just know that the people with the other accents, like "you must go home" or something. The other people have funny accents, and I can't remember whether they're the French or the English, but whoever it is, they have the funny accents.
Yeah, that's hello. Yeah,
that's what it should have been.
Yeah, it's very.
Everyone should have been like hello. That would have been fun.
Yeah,
not very Doctor Who, but it would have been fun. Ian.
Okay, let's go to Ian.
Then. My man.
He does well for having 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
See, the Doctor has 2 weeks off. He's written out. Ian can't even be written out.
Because you can't do without Ian because he is a hero. So my partner said he was like, he thinks Ian looks like a young John Barrowman.
I don't think anybody's ever said that before.
That is because Ian is a hero. Like John Barrowman is a hero. Ian is a hero. So, of course, he looks like John Barrowman.
Did you notice the bit, where they're brought into the prison and you've got Barbara and Susan and the guy's like saying, oh, you need to go to prison. And then it just cuts and it's just Ian on his own, which is obviously a bit of film that's just been put in.
Also, Ian has great legs. That's another thing because he's in those short things. Ian has great legs. And what else do I have about Ian? Just Ian's great. The really dramatic shot of the three of them. When they're called after the house when the house is burning down, and you've got like Susan being Susan. Barbara's like, he'll get out, and you've got Ian like looking broody. Yeah, I'm all team Ian. Ian's great.
Yep, yeah, he was, and it's interesting. Ian and Barbara, they're not worried. They're still not. They were like, oh well, it doesn't matter if we're home or not. They're really enjoying the adventure.
Yeah,
they're really they're not bothered.
Because he's a hero.
And he got do you know what? The only thing is, animated Ian wasn't great.
No, maybe that's why I was struggling and falling asleep.
Because when they got him, they brought in the animated one, they brought him through the window.
Yeah.
and it took me a while to work out that was actually
me.
Ian, because it didn't look like him.
I didn't. I actually, when they sat him down, I went, "That's Ian."
Ian versus Leon.
I know, that was dramatic.
Fighting for Barbara's love.
No, I mean, Ian and Barbara are never a thing.
Why not?
Because they're just because Barbara's such a sleazy she's out with all the men and shit. She is. Every episode she's with a man. And it ain't Ian. Whereas Ian just saves the day.
Well, I'm not going to say anything that happens, but I think fans would like to think that Ian and Barbara end up together. I'm not saying that they do, but I think fans would like the idea of that and read into that in moments.
I think that Barbara needs to consider her actions then.
I've written Ian off for 2 weeks in prison cell, still a hero.
Yes, he's such a hero. No, I'm just hating on Barbara. But because I'm all for girl power and she can do what she wants. So I don't mean that. But she can have any man she wants. I'd take that back.
She only had a glass of wine with Leon. That was it. She's not like she did anything. Or she had and then he got shot. There was no chance.
It's just the most mental thing. Every episode, Barbara has got a man. She just the men look at Barbara and they're like, yeah. But
because I thought Jules was gonna go for her as well. Because he was the one that got her. It was his house, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Jules.
And even animated instantly, I knew it was Ian with a bag on his head.
The others were great. The other animation, obviously, Barbara and Susan, and the Doctor in his outfit.
Susan looked a mess animated. She looked a state. When she came out, I went, whoa. She needs a wash and a haircut. She looks because she's ill as well, isn't she?
She doesn't have much to do, to be fair. She's pretty much, I thought they'd written her out in 2 episodes. I thought she could have easily gone on holiday for 2 episodes.
She was a nightmare.
Because what does she do? She's all right to begin with. She doesn't cope well in the prison with the rats.
She doesn't cope well, full stop.
I thought she was coping quite well because there weren't any, they get captured. They get marched off to Paris. She doesn't scream or get upset. And
Mark, were we watching the same episodes?
No, she doesn't go completely, off and screaming straight away. I thought she coped quite well. It's when she sees the rats that sends her over the edge, isn't it?
No, she's constantly annoying.
What is it? Rats! Rats! They must have smelt the food. Barbara, there's rats down there.
She's upset to begin with because they're going. So she goes off to her room to sulk. Then they're like, oh no, the doctor. So she goes, she's with them. Then they're upstairs. Ian's looking for the doctor, and it's because she screams that Ian goes looking for her, and they all get captured. It's her scream that sends her looking for him. So her screaming, of course. Then she's like, because they're potentially going to get shot, whatever, but they don't. They get sent on their way. The house is burned down. She's screaming about that. Well, it's Ian and Barbara that are like, don't worry, he'll get out. They're calm. They're all calm and cool, calming her. Fine, but classic lack of faith in anything. Susan. Then they get to prison. Okay, she's fine. Susan and Barbara eating the same food. Classic Susan. She gets ill. She can't deal with the rat. Everyone's eating the same thing.
To be fair, I would not cope with all the rats and digging and stuff.
But even before the rat, she can't deal with it. So again, Barbara's like, I think I found a way out. And she's like, oh, I can't go. But she's like, no, let's dig. She's like, I can't do any more digging. And some food arrives. She's like, oh. And then Barbara's there like, oh God, I didn't realize how hungry I was. Or what I'd even eat. And then Susan's like, ugh, food. Then she's like, oh, I can't dig anymore. Oh, okay, actually I can. Oh, there's a rat. Oh, and then, oh, I'm ill. I can't move. And And Barbara's like, now, Susan, come on, we've got to get off this. Like, this is our chance for, like, getting away. She's like, I can't.
Yeah.
If those guys hadn't come and save them, they'd be dead. She's like, come on, Susan, come on. She's a nightmare.
She's got a headache. She's having a bad time. But they are going to the guillotine. They are going to be guillotined if Susan doesn't move. And then Barbara is like, okay, don't worry. You've got a headache. Just stay there. It's fine.
Honestly.
Yeah.
They're going to be guillotined. Yeah. And Susan's like, ah.
Then she's in the prison cell. The doctor gets her out. She goes back in. She seems to be in and out of the prison.
But even then, she's constantly screaming.
And then she's not even in that last bit with Napoleon or anything. Because she's in the prison cell, isn't she? So, it's not a great one for Susan, which is a shame because in the Sensorite, she does have she has all her telepathic moments, and she does quite a lot. So maybe that's the sort of rule.
But she's almost failed herself here because in the last episode, it was all about her growing up and becoming a woman, challenging her grandfather, and now she's a child again. But
then you've got the 4. Someone every week has to be in the prison cell or has to be the Susan.
It's not so much that. I don't mind that she wasn't in it much. Like, it was her character and it was the weediness of it, because she's so weedy and annoying.
But someone's got to do that, and someone had to go to the doctors so that they could get, when they got captured again.
I don't mind her being ill. Like, it's just her annoying weedy voice.
Where is Susan, like, number 4 now?
Yeah. Where was she before?
She started off as your number 1 in Unearthly Child. And then Barbara, obviously, it depends where Barbara is, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Barbara.
I feel like, everyone's sort of progressed.
Barbara's between 2 and 3.
Everyone has progressed quite a lot. Susan did progress, and then she's gone back again. But
Susan is so up and down. And I guess maybe that comes with just being her age and being a teenager. And the trouble is, we've talked about this a lot. I see her as a teenager. Yeah. I see her as a 16-year-old teenager. You see her as this alien.
Well, I did, but now that's sort of all gone. And it did, in the Sensorites, that was valid. But now, you can't help but just see her as the child now, especially with Barbara looking after her. And
yeah. But I think that's where this series really, I think that's where it sort of almost fails itself, in that what those. Then
I think there's a lot of talk about you need a character that the children identify with, and that was Susan.
Oh, 100%.
She can't grow up too much because of the kids in the audience.
Yeah, completely. But I'm talking like with the powers and stuff. So it was quite interesting. My partner, he hadn't watched any of the 60s one really before. So when she goes grandfather, and he was like, oh, grandfather, is that like blood, or is that like some weird name? And I went, well, we're going off the definition of blood here. And he went, oh. And I think that's something quite interesting, because I hadn't really thought about it before. But the doctor doesn't show to have any alien traits.
Well, not yet, I suppose.
He's just sort of a very smart human. Maybe he's been living a long time.
There's not really. I don't even know if when they're making this series right now that he's defined as an alien. So,
at what point has his granddaughter developed? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many sort of unanswered.
Well, that's what was so interesting about the Sensorites when Susan did suddenly have these powers. That is the first sort of hint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But then the doctor is just.
So that's what I mean. It's
they've come from a planet, but we are not told anything else.
No, and it's that sort of relationship, and that's the sort of thing where it like, I think you struggle to connect, because you have moments like that where you think you're getting a progression out of a character, you're getting change, and then you just sort of go back a week.
Yeah,
You just sort of go
that
back.
is your weekly serial that they've got. That is the problem. That is part of the problem of the classic series. It's week in, week out, and it can't progress too much. And I think they did have plans for Susan to be more alien, and I think they had to rewrite it because she had to identify with the 60s kids watching. You can't go too alien, because we're probably, if they did it now, she would be, and it would be, you wouldn't need to identify with her that much. But this is a kid. You've got to sort of remember, this is a kids' TV show with younger kids watching, and they need someone to identify with. Any bit of progress could easily be just wiped out the next week.
But then other progress continues, like their relationship as a four.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know. I find like there's things like that I find very frustrating, and I don't know whether that's just because nowadays, when we watch TV series, we expect those things. We expect character progression. We expect that.
I think if like interviews with Carol Ann Ford at the time, she was disappointed at the time. You know, she gets the script that week. Oh, she's thinking, great, I've got this part as this alien teenager. There was talk of these things, and then they've got to write the script. They've got to get on with it. It just doesn't happen. You know.
Yeah, it's weird after like a year, because it has been a year. Like we're at the end of season 1 now, and for it to still be there, it's really weird. For me to still find her annoying.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to change your mind ever. Sorry.
Or still have those moments of her just being really, just I don't know.
And it's still, this is still very much. Well, actually, no. I was going to say I like the Doctor in this a lot, because Ian and Barbara did their stuff, but without Susan there, I felt like the Doctor was a bit stronger, because he wasn't having to look after Susan.
See, I think you could have just done without Susan this whole episode, and the episode would have carried on.
Yeah, they could have written that Susan was with the Doctor and they were both travelling to Paris together, and he had to look after her, and they could have had that progression.
If you took Susan out of this entire episode still would have continued. Other than that very last thing, where the reason that he agreed to do that is because Susan was in prison. But he could have like agreed to bring that guy because of some other blackmail for whatever reason. Like you could have done without Susan for this entire thing. I mean, on that cart, Barbara could have wanted to escape and tried to, and then at last minute was like saved anyway. There's so many things that just Susan served absolutely zero purpose in this. She did not add anything to this story, and she didn't even hold it up. She just did nothing. She was just annoying and screamy and whiny, other than being ill and going to the doctors.
Yeah, and that one.
And getting them back in prison. That is it. And they could have wrote anything to have them go out and have them get captured again. Anything could have been wrote in to get them out again.
Yeah.
There was nothing gained from it.
Well, let's hope Susan has more to do in the future. Well, she's had a sort of story off, so hopefully she'll have some more. It will be somebody else's turn to be the Susan, hopefully.
Yeah. To be the Susan. Yeah. And also, like I said, I've said this before, it's classic 60s writing where, the women are the downcasts in this, because Ian is the hero. Ian is always the hero.
Barbara does her thing. She gets through it as a rational person in that situation. I still think.
Absolutely. And Susan isn't. And then there's other weeks where Barbara isn't. But I cannot think of an episode where Ian.
No, Ian is always
not
there.
rational.
He is always there. Yep.
But you would never have writing in the 60s where the man is the rational one.
No, I suppose not. No.
So that's what I mean. It will always be the women. It will always be one of the women. The closest you have is the Doctor, and it's more him stropping.
Yes. Yeah. That's his character.
And it's more his temper.
And actually, on that point, William Hartnell, he's pretty good in this one, isn't he?
All of them are pretty spot on. This is probably the closest.
Yeah, there aren't any obvious things that we've noticed before like that where he's messed up.
My favourite Doctor scene was that one on the road with the gold one where he's like, and he does. That was my favourite scene. That was him. That reminded me of him in the garden in the
in Aztecs. Yeah.
Yeah. That was, and the sort of humour and the comedy. That was my favourite.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it had a bit of everything there. And just on that point, so those shots where he's walking to Paris on film.
Yeah.
That's the very first ever location filmed. It's not William Hartnell, it's a double, not stunt double, it's a double.
Oh. Stunt double.
Stunt double to walk along.
Big stunts.
And that, I just want to talk about locations a minute because that's a sort of fan thing. There are some things that fans do which are just a fan thing. One, you list your episodes in your favourites, or you list your Doctors in your favourite. You make a lot of lists. I'm not saying every fan does this, but it's one of those things. And I think locations is a thing where, like for me, if it was like a family holiday somewhere, I'd be like, where was Doctor Who filmed nearby? Is there anywhere to go? To look.
Oh, would you? Is that why you chose? No, I was going to say, did you come to Cardiff for that?
So it was the reason why I looked. And obviously, being in Cardiff, lots of locations. There's a really good website, doctorwholocations.net, and you can go through every single story on the locations, and people have been and matched up. So you've got that shot of William Hartnell walking along like with the trees onto Paris, and that is someone's driveway in Buckinghamshire, and what it looks like today, and it looks exactly the same. You've got the trees, and you've got so you can go there, and and the field. They've tried to track down which field it was, and there's a photo of it. Now. I love going on that website and looking. So I had a quick look at the nearest Doctor Who locations to where we are.
Oh, there'll be loads.
So I was trying to look at the absolute nearest, and obviously I don't want to give our locations away, but so there's two near me. Well, there's one from Torchwood, right? There's an episode from Out of the Rain, Torchwood. And do you know where that was filmed? You know where Dusty Knuckle was down the road from me? That bit.
Oh, yeah.
It was before, it was literally there, which is like 30 seconds away from me, listeners. And also, I don't know if you've heard of the spin-off Class. No, it was a couple of years ago. There was a Doctor Who spin-off Class. And one of their houses, one of the kids' houses, sorry, I can't remember the name, is just by Nat West near me as well. So they're my two locations.
I'll have loads.
You've got loads because you're near the bay. There's that park near you, that kids' playground park. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
So that's where Bad Wolf, where Rose sees Bad Wolf written. There's
all right.
That's your nearest location, is Bad Wolf episode.
Yeah. I'm not far from the shrine, I know that.
Well, you're literally the bay with Torchwood and Yanto Shrine and everything.
I've got everything.
Part of the fascination is you've got from Reign of Terror in 1964, and you can go there now and just see. I mean, William Hartnell wasn't even there; it was some stunt guy. It doesn't even matter. But just to see what it looks like today, it's still there. But I like seeing the comparisons and especially the older series, like the 60s ones, because it's sort of that history of, and we're going to get some more locations coming up soon where they do branch out and actually film on location a bit more. It's funny.
I think because we both work within theatre, and I've loads of friends that have been extras and stuff. And in Doctor, my ex was in the 60th,
50th.
50th. There we go. I'm jumping
I know. I know which bit as well.
And I remember he used to get letters from fans that wanted pictures and signed things. So I know, and just as an extra in episodes.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Because in the magazine, they list every single person.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, everyone that's involved.
So
that's just another fan thing. I think it's just like actors that have been in which episodes and who's done what and who did. It's just one of those things. But I think locations is a big thing. There's always, if you can go to a location, it's just one of those things that's just
yeah,
a good thing to do. So yeah, that's the beginning of locations. Next time you're in Buckinghamshire, you can go down that driveway, walk to Paris.
Next time. Picking the long walk. What was it? 15 kilometres, did they say? Something like that. 15-kilometre walk to Paris.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that sort of wraps it up, doesn't it? So next week we have a very special episode. As we've finished the first series, we're going to look back on our favourite moments, our favourite characters. We're going to have a little awards ceremony.
And the little awards ceremony. What are we calling it, Mark?
Well, it's going to be called the Doskers.
Woo!
Yay! So the very first To Watch Who Doskers will be taking place. So this week, look out on the social media. So we've put together our categories and our nominations. So we will be announcing that this week. And then on the episode, we will be announcing our winners.
Very exciting stuff. Very exciting.
Yeah. I think people can probably guess who's going to win and who's not. But you never know.
Only some of them, though. Only some.
Yeah,
some might be a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that will be coming up next week. So we will see you then for that. So you can follow us on Twitter, To Watch Who. That's TWO. And on Instagram, To Watch Who. For those that have been listening every week, thank you very much. It's good to hear feedback and that you're enjoying listening to it.
Thank you.
And hopefully, if you're new, like Sarah, you are watching along, get BritBox, 30 days free trial, give it a try. Or you can track down the DVDs. And if you are a fan as well, or have been a fan like me for a long time, hopefully you are getting a new perspective on things, on how useless Susan is. But you probably already know that. So we will see you next time.
It blunter. Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
To Watch Who.
Hey, Doctor Who? What are you talking about?